Hey everybody, and welcome back to another video. And today we are going to be talking about LFG and being a commander and what it is like to utilize this feature in the game to maximize it so that way you as a solo player or as a player with only a couple of friends can fill out your groups and make the most of this game as a whole. Even if you do not have any friends, you're not in any guild, you can still get into all of the end game content if you use the LFG effectively. So for the most part, if you are looking at the LFG, you are going to be looking at these various tabs. The vast majority of these tabs don't mean anything. You have strike missions, raids, fractals, and dungeons. These are going to be your primary LFGs that you hover around, with the exception being meta train maps. So you'll have End of Dragons, you'll have Path of Fire, you'll have Heart of Thorns as your primary areas to post squads. And as you look through some of these group listings, you'll see a lot of advertisements, and you'll also see groups that need different requirements. So whether you are creating a LFG and going to be commanding your own squad, or you are joining an LFG, the very first thing that you need to do is think about the structure of your post or the post that you're reading. So it pretty much always starts with whatever content you are trying to do, whatever requirements that group has, whether it is titles, whether it is achievement points, which is the old method of judging skill, is you needed 6k or more achievement points. That was back before Heart of Thorns came out. But then what the group is looking for. In this case, it's healing quickness or alacrity DPS. In the case of the raid, it was a DPS player that can pylon and also has boots. That is a way of gear checking the boots. It's not just classic. It's a noob check to make sure that people can read. And when you decide to command a squad, and especially if it is in 10 or 5-man content like these key areas here, you should be focusing on filling the core boon roles. So how you do that is you start with your squad, you go to raid mode. I always lock all subgroups, and so that way I can move people around effectively, and I always move myself into subgroup 2 so that way whenever anybody joins, they're locked in subgroup 1 and I can keep them there while we evaluate their role. You can also include a squad message basically saying ping boots or whatever you want to do. Typically, I always just say state role on join, and that is that. The duties of the commander are pretty much this. You are building a team. You are building your squad. So if your squad subgroups are messed up, then that is your function. That is the only function you have, is that you are basically rogering up saying like, I want to build a group, and you need to evaluate what you need. Typically it's quickness, alacrity, and that's it. So you need to have a quickness provider and alacrity provider in each subgroup. For the most part, one of them is going to be a healer, whether it's an alacrity healer or a quickness healer. The rest of it can be DPS. I believe that the commander should take on the role of one of those things. Typically, I leave it open so that way if for whatever reason you have 2 healers that join, you can then flex into a DPS if you need to, or you could flex into a alacrity DPS or a quickness DPS. You should basically be a multi-class player, excluding for certain raid fights if you have a specific role. So For the most part, if you're a commander and you are a tank in raids and you know how to tank in raids, it is probably best that you just hold down one of those heal positions or one of those tank positions. You do that mechanic and then you LFG for less stressful mechanics. If you're looking for a specific role that is a pretty niche role. You see it a lot where Deimos is looking for a hand kiter, or Zera is looking for a tank, or Escort is looking for a tower chrono. Those things are harder to find. So if you, as the commander, are capable of doing that, it will speed up the process a lot in filling these groups out. So I ended up coordinating an IBS 5, and here we are in Bone Skinner taking a look at our squad. This is what we have. So essentially what we have is a heal firebrand, which is me. We have a heal alacrity necromancer. We have a quickness boon DPS herald and a power alacrity mechanist. The rest of them are all DPS. So with that, you could see that we are killing this boss with no problems. It is a well-balanced group, and even though that these individuals are not the best players, or I'm not the best player, we're still capable of going in and completing these bosses and completing these encounters with relative ease. I mean, the entire Bone Skinner fight took us, a handful of minutes, and LFG filled pretty quickly. So with that, this is what all of these other content creators mean by saying that the commander tag is so valuable. You just need to get over the anxiety that comes with being a commander. And in reality, it is just a game. You are meant to be playing to have fun. And so don't take on such a burden when you make a party and when you are getting this group together, because everybody who joins wants to complete that content and they're not expecting you to complete it for them. They want to do it, So those are my thoughts on the LFG. This is how you be a commander. Just be understanding to people, try to do your best, and you can always ask for help. It is not all on your shoulders. So with that, I would like to thank you all for watching. Please consider subscribing. I just broke 100 subscribers, so thank you all for doing that, and I'll see you next time.